Hey everyone, my name is Kostas and today I'm going to talk about detecting deception. So I'm going to give some definitions about what is a lie and its categories, what is deception and its types, then I will provide you with the psychological theory behind that topic, and finally I will explore how can we detect deception as well as what do psychologists believe about it. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself wondering if someone is lying to you? Maybe a friend says, I was stuck in traffic, but something just doesn't add up. Or you're watching a debate and thinking, is that really true? Lying and deception are everywhere. It's just part of life. But here's the cool thing. We can actually learn to spot it. Today we're going to talk about what lying is, why people do it, and how you and I can get better at detecting it. Sounds good? Let's dive in. Okay, so what is a lie? At its core, it's pretty simple. A lie is when someone deliberately tries to mislead you. It's not an accident or a slip of the tongue. It's intentional. Now, not all lies are the same, so let's break it down. So first we have the exaggerations. When someone says, I caught a fish this big, but it was tiny, that's exaggerating. It's like stretching the truth to make it sound more impressive. Now, subtle lies. These are sneaky. Imagine someone saying, I'll try to be there, when they've already decided they're not coming. It's vague, but still misleading. And finally, we have the outright lies. These are the bold ones, like I didn't eat the last cookie while the crumbs are still on their shirt. We've all lied before, right? It's part of human being. But understanding these types of lies is the first step to spotting them. So, deception takes lying to another level. It's not just about saying something false, it's about creating a false belief in someone else. And let me tell you, it's everywhere: relationships, politics, business, you name it. Here's an example. Let's say a kid breaks a vase. Instead of confessing, they say the wind must knock it over. That's deception, creating a whole false scenario to avoid getting in trouble. Now, there are a few ways people deceive. First, we have the falsifications. These are just making things up, like I have a Ferrari when they don't. Then we have distortions, which is the twisting of the truth, like saying I got an A on the test when it was a B. And finally, we have the concealments. These are like leaving out details like, oh, I went out, but not mentioning they went to a party you were invited to. Now, the more we understand these tactics, the better we can spot them in action. Now, so why do people lie? That's the big question, isn't it? Well, researchers have come up with three main theories to explain it. First, we have the emotional approach, which says that lying stirs up emotions like guilt or fear. And then we have the cognitive load approach, which says that lying is hard work, it's mentally exhausting. And finally, we have the self-presentational approach, which is about that liars trying to look honest, but sometimes they try too hard and give themselves away. And each of these theories gives us clues about how to catch a lie. So let's break them down one by one. So let's start with emotions. Think about it. When you lie, you might feel a little nervous, right? Maybe your heart races, your palms sweat, or you get that guilty look on your face. For example, if someone's lying in a high-stakes situations like in court, you might fidget, avoid eye contact, or their voice might shake. But, and this is important, just because someone seems nervous doesn't mean they're lying. Some people get nervous telling the truth too, so emotions can be a clue, but they're not foolproof. Okay, here's something interesting. Lying is actually hard work. You have to think up a story, remember it, and make sure it's consistent. That makes a lot of brain power. That takes a lot of brain power. Imagine someone asks you, where were you last night? And you're lying. You might pause, stumble over your words, or take longer to respond. That's because your brain is working overtime to create a convincing answer. This is called cognitive load, and it's a big reason why lies sometimes fall apart. It's like trying to juggle too many things at once, and eventually something's going to drop. Now let's talk about appearances. Liars don't want to get caught, so they try really hard to act normal. They might make extra eye contact, sit perfectly still, or even overdo their smiles. But here's the thing: sometimes they try so hard that it actually looks unnatural. Like, have you ever seen someone who's too calm in a tense situation? It's kind of suspicious, right? But liars adjust their behavior based on the situation. But keeping up that act for too long is tough. So how do we spot a lie? It's like solving a mystery. You look for clues like changes in voice tone, hesitation in speech, or body language. But no single clue is enough to say someone's lying. It's about patterns. If someone avoids answering, changes the subject, or reacts defensively, it might mean something, but you've got to pull all the pieces together to figure it out. Now, let's talk about the polygraph, or otherwise the lie detector. It measures physical reactions like heart rate, sweating, and breathing. Basically, it looks for signs of stress that might indicate lying. Imagine being hooked up at one to one. The examiner asks questions and the machine tracks how your body reacts. If your heart rate spikes during certain questions, it might mean deception. But here's the thing: the polygraph isn't perfect. So sometimes nervous people look like liars, and skilled liars can keep calm enough to pass. Now, the polygraph tests use three types of questions. First, we have the neutral questions like what's your name? These are just to establish a baseline. Then we have the control questions. These are a little stressful, like have you ever told a lie? And finally, we have the direct questions like did you take the money? These are meant to catch lies. And examiners then compare your reactions, but as I said, it's not foolproof. It's more like a tool than a guarantee. So here's the tricky part: the polygraphs have a lot of critics. For example, someone falsely accused of a crime might be so anxious that their results look deceptive. And some skilled liars can train themselves to stay calm and beat the test. Even newer tools like brain scans and voice stress analysis have their own issues. So detecting deception is complicated, and there is no perfect method yet. So let's be real, the polygraph sounds impressive, but it's far from perfect. One of the biggest issues is that it doesn't directly detect lies. Instead, it measures physiological responses like changes in heart rate or sweating. And here's the catch: those reactions don't always mean someone is lying. For example, an innocent person who's nervous might show the same signs as someone who's guilty. On the flip side, a practiced liar might stay calm enough to fool the test entirely. So another limitation is objective interpretation. So polygraph examiners analyze the results, but their judgment isn't always consistent or accurate. It's not like reading a clear yes or no on a screen. It's more nuanced. And finally, let's not forget about countermeasures. People have been known to cheat the polygraph by controlling their breathing, clenching muscles, or even practicing mental tricks to stay calm. So while the polygraph is a useful tool, it's definitely not the ultimate truth detector. Its limitations are why we continue searching for better methods. Since the polygraph has its flaws, researchers have been exploring alternative ways to detect deception. And let me tell you, some of these methods are pretty fascinating. One option is fMRI or functional magnetic resonance imaging. This technology looks at brain activity, focusing on areas that light up when someone is lying. It's like peeking into the brain to catch a lie in the act, but it's not perfect. Just because a part of the brain is active doesn't mean someone is being deceptive. Another method is voice stress analysis, which tracks changes in tone or tension in someone's voices. Have you ever heard someone's voice crack under pressure? That's the kind of thing this technology picks up. However, stress doesn't always equal lying, so this method has its own challenges. And there's behavioral analysis, where experts watch for subtle cues like micro expressions or body language shifts. It's like reading someone's emotions in real time, but it takes a lot of skill and training to do it well. While none of these methods are perfect, they represent steps forward in the quest to uncover the truth. Who knows, maybe one day we'll have a tool that's both accurate and reliable. Alright, let's summarize this. So, detecting deception isn't easy. It's a mix of science, observation, and intuition. Tools like the polygraph can't help, but they're not the final word. So, next time you think someone might be lying, don't jump to conclusions. Look for patterns, pay attention to their behavior, and consider the context. And most importantly, trust your instincts. Then you know more than you think. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this gave you some useful insights into the fascinating world of deception.